What is up, everyone, and welcome back to the PT³ Podcast, where we bring together strength, rehab, and performance. I'm your host, Dr. Nate Karam, physical therapist, strength coach, and the guy who believes your potential goes way beyond what you're currently settling for. This show is all about helping active individuals like you cut through the noise, train smarter, stay injury-free, and optimize your performance. Whether you're in the gym, on the field, or just trying to feel better moving through your life. Along the way, I'll be bringing on top experts in the field, from physical therapists, strength coaches, to athletes and nutritionists, to performance specialists and professors, all of the above, so you get the real evidence-based strategies straight from the best in the game. We will break down training, injury prevention, rehab, nutrition, and of course the science behind building a resilient, high-performing body. All in a way that's simple, no BS, and built for busy, driven people who want real results. Let's get into it. All right, guys, welcome back. Glad to see you're all back, ready to listen to some new strength training knowledge. So today, we're going to be doing something interesting. We're going to be not contradicting, but adding a little flavor to a previous episode. So we talked before about loads, stimulus, effort, fatigue, volume, all that. We're going to really take it from a different approach today. So this is where strength meets science, right? And I said things get real here. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to incorporate evidence, the current literature. So before we get rolling, I want to give a quick disclaimer. Like I said, this is not to contradict anything I've said prior about programming for strength, hypertrophy, endurance. This is not me going back on anything that I've said. It is me reinforcing it. It is the deeper layer of what I've already told you. We talked about the how before, how to structure your training to get the outcomes that you want. For some people, that's all they need. That's all they want. If that's you, then maybe this episode is just, icing on the cake that's not really necessary. But I feel that as a clinician, I would like to dive a little deeper. So this episode is all about the why. We're pulling back the curtain and diving into the mechanisms behind adaptations. So what is really driving the changes in strength, size, endurance? Is it the rep range? Is it the underlying stimulus, the load, effort, fatigue, volume, all those concepts that we discussed? So to unpack this, we're diving into a clinical evidence-based kind of deep dive featuring Schoenfeld's 2021 narrative review. He's the author, very prominent in the literature for hypertrophy, strength training, all of that sort. And also his earlier 2017 meta-analysis on high versus low load resistance training. So you'll kind of get a glimpse into both of those articles. One being more of like a high level of evidence, one being a little bit lower. But the lower level one cuts into more specific things that I'm talking about on this episode. So I felt that I would incorporate both. So same author, same brain trust, just different lenses on the same question. So let's get into it a little bit here. So first off, I want to kick things off with strength. The classic belief, as I've discussed prior, is that you want to build maximum strength, you lift heavy. 1 to 5 reps, 80% to 100% of your 1 rep max, within little wiggle room there. And honestly, that still holds up when you look at the research, which is nice to know that I'm not being taught a bunch of BS from my textbooks and my certifications. So Schoenfeld's 2017 meta-analysis, and just a reminder, meta-analysis, very high level of evidence, right? We can trust this stuff. They found a moderate to large effect size in favor of heavy loads, which is greater than 60% 1 rep max, over light loads, so less than or equal to 60%, for improving 1 rep max strength. And this was true regardless of whether or not the lift was upper body or lower body. You add in the 2021 review and it's even clearer. The physiological adaptations that drive strength, neuromuscular efficiency, motor unit synchronization, higher threshold motor unit recruitment, these are all amplified under heavy loads. So it's not just about moving weight, it's about teaching your body how to express force efficiently. That's where the heavier stuff shines. So you're not just stressing the muscle, you're training the entire nervous system to produce maximal effort. And that neurological practice matters. So even if total volume is matched, heavy loads tend to win out. So this suggests that intensity, more than just raw volume, is the main driver of strength gains. So what's the takeaway here, right? Well, how do we make this practical? If you want to be strong, you've got to train heavy, especially as you become more experienced. Now, let's zoom out for a second. Can you still gain strength with light loads? Yes, absolutely, especially if you're new to lifting. Studies have shown the strength gains with even sets of 20 plus reps. What will happen? They will still happen. Those adaptations will still happen. So don't panic. If you're stuck at home, you're that person that's stuck with just I only have 25-pound dumbbells. You can still go up in strength. Just understand that as you get closer to your genetic ceiling, loads start to matter more and more and more. All right. So for you long term strength gainers, it's not about chasing a rep range. It's about consistently exposing your system to high force demands and letting your nervous system adapt. So that's kind of the rundown on strength. But the main thing that I wanted to poke at on this episode, because strength for the most part, you look at the literature and it says pretty much what I've said prior, right? Like we understand the mechanism. We're trying to get that maximal motor unit recruitment, trying to teach the body how to accept a very, very, very maximal heavy load and move that load as efficiently as possible, express that force. But this is where things really get interesting. Okay. So let's talk about the gains most people are chasing, right? Hypertrophy. We love that word. I love that word. It makes me happy just to hear it. I'm about to go rip a sick hypertrophy workout as soon as I finish recording this. But here's the deal. Hypertrophy does not care if you're lifting heavy or light as long as you're working hard enough. So it's funny because that 8 to 12 rep range for size mantra, it's useful for sure. I talked about how I swear by that, and I still do. Reading these articles did not make me change my mind. I still do. I think that that is a perfect framework for people that are trying to understand how to progressive overload. But let's be specific, right? Are we talking about progressive overload or hypertrophy? It's not a sacred ritual that you have to follow. It helps and it will always keep you on track to continue growing in the gym with your lifts. But we're talking specifically about what is a stimulus that causes hypertrophy, growth of muscle mass, right? So Schoenfeld's 2017 meta-analysis confirmed there's no significant difference in muscle growth between low load and high load training. Really interesting to me, to be honest with you. So as long as the sets were taken to failure, that means you could be squatting 85% of your one rep max for 6 reps or hitting 30% one rep max for 25 reps. If you're still pushing both of them to the brink, where you can no longer produce force enough for that mechanical tension and you're failing, your muscles don't know the difference. They don't. They're stupid. Your muscles are stupid. I hate to break it to you, but it might be a good thing because this opens up a huge window of how you can get these adaptations regardless of the equipment that you have available to you. And now the 2021 review adds even more nuance. So it talks about muscle fiber recruitment being the key driver. And guess what? As long as you hit failure, you end up recruiting those high threshold motor units either way. So then the question is, why even bother with heavier or moderate weights at all, right? Like, if we can do it with low load, why are we even bothering? Why do the hard stuff? Because real talk here, doing 30 reps to failure sucks. It's mentally and physically draining. The research shows that people generally find it less enjoyable and it takes way more time. Compliance drops, effort tanks, the practical demands of training, the long-term goals, it's not great for that. It's not great for adherence. It makes workouts not really worth your time. It makes them questionable on whether or not they're worth it at all when you're, 20 something reps deep into a set. No one wants to do that unless you're purposely trying to train for endurance, but that's a different can of worms, right? So now, on the other hand, going super heavy all the time could beat you up, right? Fry your central nervous system. You get the joint stress, the fatigue, potential for form breakdown. And to equate volume, you need a ton of sets, which takes more time, more recovery bandwidth. So that's why moderate loads still win in the real world. You get efficient muscle recruitment, you get good volume, and it's more sustainable session to session. Also worth noting, this holds up for different age groups and training levels. Older adults, same story. Type 1, type 2 fibers, both respond. This isn't just a young meathead lifter effect, it is biology. So again, the takeaway here is simple. You grow what you train hard. Intensity, not load, is what drives hypertrophy. And it's funny, it's like saying that because I've been so hard focused on these very, very, very objective kind of like constructs that I've given you guys in previous episodes that they are true. They are true. They are textbook factual information. Again, not contradicting anything I've said, but I was giving you guys the what. And I think for a long time, I even myself was practicing and training myself and doing my own routines with the what and missing a chunk of the why. And I think it's really interesting to understand the why and how the why can kind of adapt what you're doing and allow you to get these hypertrophy results regardless of your situation. If you're traveling, limited on equipment, coming back from an injury, do not overthink it, right? Don't look at my other episode and be like, "Oh god, I can't train at my, 60 to 80% one rep max because my joints hurt and like I just came back from like an ACL injury or whatever it may be." No. You go light, you go long, you go hard. As long as you're hitting failure, it is shown in the literature, in the evidence here, that you will still get the hypertrophy effect. Very cool. Very cool in my opinion. So now a little bit on endurance because I want to make sure I cover all the pillars here, even though I physically cringe when I say endurance training. Sorry for those of you who really like it, but man, it's just not for me. So let's round things out with the forgotten child. This is where things get a little fuzzy. So traditionally, we've been told that 15 plus reps builds endurance, and there is a lot of evidence to support that, especially for the lower body. But when we zoom in on the literature, things get a little bit inconsistent. So some studies show endurance improves with light loads, others do not. Some show moderate load training performing just as well. Schoenfeld's 2021 paper highlights that the testing method kind of really matters here. So if you test endurance using a percentage of someone's post-intervention one rep max, the group that trained heavy might actually appear worse because their one rep max went up and now they're doing more work during the test. It's kind of like a methodological mess there. So what can we conclude from this in terms of endurance? At best, high rep, low load training might help with endurance, particularly if you're trying for absolute work capacity, like high rep, AMRAPs, CrossFit style metcons, long sport specific sets. But like relative endurance, how long you can maintain force at 60% of your max, that seems to be about more effort and adaptation, not just rep count. So this part of the continuum is still kind of evolving. More research is definitely needed here for me to go and make any bold claims and give you guys some solid takeaways. But really, the old idea that only high reps build endurance, it doesn't really hold water across the board. But you can still kind of rest easy knowing that those NSCA kind of the rep ranges and the percent RMs and all that works as a working framework for you guys. So you can still utilize that and you will still be in that zone of adaptation, but just know that the literature is starting to show that we might not have this as figured out as we thought that we did. And some things that work, we're not disproving it. We're not saying they don't work anymore, but there might actually be many other ways that we can produce the same results and possibly easier with less time being committed to it. So, what actually matters? Let's bring this thing full circle. If we had to boil it down, here is the cheat code that I will send you out with. Do you want to build max strength? Prioritize heavy loads. Do you want to grow muscle? Train hard regardless of load. Do you want endurance? High reps might help, but it's not guaranteed. So, most importantly, you're matching your goal to your stimulus, right? The rep range does not make the adaptation, the effort does. Use reps and load as tools to drive the right stress at the right time for the right outcome. And please stop pretending that 8 to 12 reps is magic. I don't mean for it to come across as like this magical, the the Bible of lifting or whatever. Like you use that as a framework. I'm trying to give you guys tools for your toolbox, especially those of you that have not been training for a very long time, or maybe are not familiar with the literature, or don't have these advanced training certifications. Like you don't need any of this stuff. Don't get me wrong. You don't need any of this to produce results. But we're talking about optimizing. That's what this whole show is about. That's what my whole company is about. That's what my entire passion lies in, is how can we optimize movement, improve the human body as a machine? How can we do things most efficiently? People are busy. And my vision for the world is trying to make a place where People no longer have the ability to make the excuse of saying, I don't have time to do this. I don't have the equipment to do this. I don't have the capacity to get this done. Like what you're detailing to me is not possible with what is, within my control. I'm telling you it is. And I'm telling you that the literature is slowly peeling away the fact that these goals might be a lot more accessible to people than they thought. And there might be many different ways to achieve them. So I want to take a step back and make sure that every time I, give you guys new information and I spread new truth, right? That it's backed by evidence, but then also I want to make sure that I'm constantly reassessing what I'm telling you guys and finding new literature to not disprove, but to support or maybe adjust what I've been saying. Because as you learn and as you go through schooling and, the things that are being taught 50 years ago are not being taught now. The things that are being taught 10 years ago for physical therapy aren't being taught now. Things keep evolving, things keep changing. We find better ways to do things. We start to find evidence that things we swore by don't actually work that well. So the main lesson here would be keep an open mind, guys. Collect as many perspectives as you can, right? Like I hope that after you're done listening to my show, you go and listen to someone else who is an expert in the field and maybe has a completely different opinion than me. I really hope you do. I hope you find 5 shows where people disagree with everything that I'm saying. And I hope that you gain the ability to critically appraise what you are listening to and the information that you are taking in, because that's what makes you a wealth of knowledge. If you can go and listen to a bunch of people speak on a topic and really, really dissect what they're saying, and then take the best bits of what you learned from each person, go do your own research with that information, and then form your own opinion. That's how you become, I shouldn't say an expert, but that's how you get your footing in becoming an expert in the field, right? Take the current experts, learn from them, take what you like the best from all of them, and then go apply it practically. And next thing you know a lot more than you think. So that's my little soapbox on all that. That wasn't even really part of today's episode, but I thought I'd speak on that because it's important. It's important, guys. Got to collect up those perspectives, and you need to always challenge what you're being taught. Never just take things as facts, right? Even if they literally are, even if you're reading out of a textbook, I encourage you to understand the why, because it just makes learning so much more fun. Like, no one enjoys being told to do something if they're not given the why behind it. You tell a kid to go do the dishes and that, why? You go clean this up. Why do I have to? Right. But then if you somehow are able to illustrate that purpose of the task to them or the why behind what they're doing, it becomes not so horrible. And I think that ever since I've started placing a why behind the things that I learn in school, and that, some of these research articles that I'm kind of like, I'll say forced to read for my residency, or you can look at it like that, or you can look at it as, wow, now I have the opportunity to understand on an even deeper level how the human body works. And then I can educate other people, which is what I'm doing right now. So try that out, guys. I would highly recommend always searching for the why. So that's it for today. Next time someone tries to lock you into a rep range box, hit them with the facts. It's not rep range that creates the outcome. It is intensity, effort, and how well your training aligns with your goals. I'm not here to tell someone that their way is not good, that it doesn't work, but I just want to help you optimize what you're doing. And not everyone has the time to skim through and read the literature, and some people don't even know how to. So I just want to take that information and put it right here for you guys. But that's a wrap for today's episode of the PT³ podcast, where we break down all things strength, rehab, and performance. I appreciate you tuning in, and if you got value from this, do me a favor, hit the follow button, leave a quick rating or review, and share this episode with someone who's ready to take their training, rehab, or health to the next level. If you want to dive deeper, head over to PT³.com. That is where you will find my complete guidebooks on strength training, injury prevention, and nutrition, all designed to help you perform at your best. And I want to plug this today. Just started some new clients yesterday. I take new clients every 4 weeks, and what do? I optimize them. Everything about their life, right? Their habits, their nutrition, their training, everything, their rehab, all in one app. And I sit there in the command post and I train my Padawans in the Jedi Temple, and I want you to become part of that Jedi Temple. So if you have questions about my training, you can go on the services page of my website, check out everything that I have to offer. And if you're still left with questions, please book a call with me. I do free consult calls. I would love to talk to you guys, let you know what I'm about, how I help people, and maybe even get you speaking to one of my clients who I'm currently helping so you can understand what I'm doing for them and not just hear it from me. So, with that being said, if you've got questions, feedback, or just want to connect, shoot me an email at natecaram@pt³.com. I love hearing from you guys, and I always do my best to point you in the right direction, whether it's training, rehab, or building a stronger mindset. You can also follow along on my Instagram at PT³, PTCUBED, for daily tips, coaching insights, and a behind-the-scenes look at how I help people just like you stay strong, stay moving, and stay dialed in. Thank you all again for listening, and as always, strength, rehab, performance. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.